name is Sean Michael Walker, and this is Insurance You Indemnify Me. And today we have, what do you want? What do you want me to call you? Uncle Ron?
Sure, that's fine.
Let's call you Uncle Ron.
Uncle Ron is fine. Yeah,
all right.
it's all good.
Ron Wadley. And let's start with, why did you live in London? No, I'm just kidding.
Wow, that's a loaded question.
You're like, oh shoot, we're going straight into
we're going 20
stuff,
years back. All right, let's do that.
If it's possible to share the story, that'd be cool. If it's not, and you're like, not for the podcast, bro.
I'll tell you later. How about that?
How about that?
Yeah.
I would love to hear
It's
it
probably
later
a little
tonight
long. Yeah,
after 6 beers.
Okay.
Okay.
That's probably
Your
the
beers,
best,
not mine.
That's the best time to tell it is after.
Okay, good. That's when I want to hear it. That's
Yeah.
when I want to hear it. So let's get started. Who is Ron Wadley? Uncle Ron.
Man, that's a loaded question because it gets to the core of identity, right?
Okay.
So,
Have you ever asked yourself, who am I?
I actually have, yeah.
I do too. I ask
Yeah.
myself that all the time.
So, there have been introspective periods of my adult life.
Okay.
Happens when you grow up a preacher's kid.
Sure. Oh, okay. Yeah.
You're like, do I really believe these things?
Right.
Or
what is going on
Yeah.
with it?
So,
I am? Yeah.
who am I? I am
A Baylor freak.
See, I would slot that down the list.
Yeah.
There are things that are more important.
Did Baylor
than that.
beat the University of Utah this last football season? I believe they did.
We didn't play. We played BYU.
Oh, okay. That's not my team.
Not the Utes.
Okay.
So, and we
All
go
right.
to Provo in September.
Okay. Are you going to go? If you've never been to Utah, you should.
I have been to Utah. I'm
It's
trying
gorgeous.
to piece it together. It's a function of taking family, not taking family.
If you go, I might even meet you there and go mountain biking. We could do the
go
Moab
to
thing,
or we could
or
go
the
to
Park City thing, or the Sundance thing, or
because I want to also fly fish the.
I can
Provo.
blow your mind with some trails over there.
I
used to be home for me.
I've hiked it, so
Yeah.
I'm familiar.
All right,
Who
who's
am-
Ron?
who
Yeah,
am I?
yeah. Baylor is
So
number 8
it's
on the list.
It's not number 8, but if I was gonna have to put it, I mean, first and foremost,
Okay.
I do find my identity as a Christian.
Okay.
So
The only man who could
we-
ever
we will
please
s-
me
we
was the son of a preacher man.
Yeah,
That's right.
So we'll start there.
Okay.
And then I am a husband and a girl dad.
A girl dad. How many girls?
Two
One?
girls.
2 girls.
Two
Okay.
girls.
Okay. And they're young
And
still.
The oldest is 22 and out on her
Okay.
own. Youngest is 9.
Okay.
There's a break in there that involves that London
Yeah,
story.
sure. Whatever.
Neither of them could have any interest in sports whatsoever.
Okay.
So we go to dance class and we take guitar lessons, and it's fantastic. We could probably slot I am a Baylor Bear in there probably now.
Okay, so Christian father of girls. Now
Now
I'm a Baylor
Bear.
Wow, that's really high on the list.
My wife would tell you I
Jeez
travel
Louise.
down there too much.
Okay.
But
I would
the
agree,
community-
actually.
the
Though, as
community
often as I
is-
see Facebook posts with you and Waco, I'm like, how often does he go there?
It's 90 minutes down there.
I don't know about
So
that. I always
it
thought
was-
it was like 3 hours down
So
there.
DIA to where we sit was 45 minutes.
Okay. I get it.
It was an Uber,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
So it's only 90 minutes down there.
Okay.
And for better or for worse, I have benefited greatly from being a part of that community.
Did you graduate from Baylor?
Yeah.
Okay.
In 97. So
Okay.
over the last
Are you a
25
Texas
years.
guy?
I'm a native Texan.
Okay, I did not.
I did
know
not. I did not grow up. I did not do all my growing up in Texas.
that. Okay,
but I am a
that's
native
okay.
Texas.
Where did you do some other growing up?
In the Midwest.
Oh, wow.
So
That explains a lot about you. Like I'm
Yeah,
already
yeah,
going.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I'm putting some things together.
So leaving there in 97,
Yeah,
over the last 25 years, the community has been fantastic to me.
yeah,
When I've lost, before I was an agency owner, when I lost a job,
yeah,
I had a job like that.
Yeah.
Because of connections.
yeah. Because the alumni, whatever.
The alumni,
Yeah.
the community,
Mm-hmm.
it has been awesome
Yeah.
to me.
Okay.
I am a marketer.
Mm-hmm. This is all before insurance agent. This
I
is
am
great.
an entrepreneur,
Okay.
and I am an insurance agent.
At the bottom of the list of the 10 things you listed off. And then I'm also an insurance agent. How did you become a marketer? Were you a marketer before you became an insurance agent?
No.
Okay. So how did you learn how to market?
Indirectly.
Not
In a concise level, because
Yeah.
we're all salespeople. And
Yeah.
marketers at some level. So I got my start in insurance 22 years ago.
Okay. So you got like 3 years on me.
I walked away from teaching high school math and coaching basketball.
Wow. I didn't know that.
And when you get a math degree, they tell you whatever it is you're going to do, if you don't like it, you can always find a job in actuarial.
It's just not true. You got to get an
It's
actuarial
definitely
degree.
not true.
It's not true.
However, I did find a job in it. My first job in insurance was in the actuarial department
Really?
of Transamerica's long-term care division.
Really?
Yeah.
I had no idea you were such a dork.
I am nerd extraordinaire.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Wow. So what did you do there?
So I helped Transamerica file the very first rate increases on those long-term care products.
Wow. So you could have turned into like a product manager, or
Could have.
I mean, you could have easily gone a completely different route.
So I spent 5 years in life
had
and
no
health
idea.
doing actuarial stuff,
That's crazy.
and decided to take a slight turn
Yeah.
into the financial realm. I
Okay.
worked on the trade floor of a hedge fund in Fort Worth.
Okay.
When the market melted down in 2008, I was a casualty.
The trade floor of a hedge fund in
Yeah.
Fort Worth. That sounds like an incredible oxymoron. Like, how could that even exist? I can't even picture what a trade floor in Fort Worth even looks like.
The craziest part of the trade floor, it was on the 35th floor
Okay.
of one of the main towers in downtown Fort Worth. So we had a view over the whole city. We had 8 original Warhols hanging above
Wow.
us,
Wow.
including Mickey Mouse.
Wow. Was one of the Warhols.
Yeah,
Let me ask you this question. As long as we're on the topic of Fort Worth, was there not a skyscraper in downtown Fort Worth that got hit by a tornado or
Yes.
something? It blew out like every window in
Yes.
the skyscraper. It didn't have enough insurance or something. And then it basically became this condemned eyesore in downtown Fort Worth for a very long time.
So there was a...
What's the story behind that?
So there was a big tornado that rolled through just before my oldest daughter was born. She was born in April. It rolled through at the end of March. Okay. And it actually came through downtown Fort Worth. There were several high-rise buildings that were nailed and pulled apart.
Yeah.
What you were referring to is the Bank One Tower. On the top floor of that was the Reactive restaurant.
Okay.
There is actual footage of the Reactive city cam that shows the tornado
come in and nail it,
destroying everything. Building sat destroyed for a while.
A long while.
It was a good while.
Yeah. I felt like
it's now condos. It's been completely converted into residential.
Oh, really?
And it's got some restaurants on the bottom of it now.
Okay.
And I mean, the penthouse is up there where the Reactive used to be.
Yeah.
And you would
I had heard that it was an insurance problem, though, is why it sat as an eyesore forever.
That is
That's what I
strong
heard.
possibility, but I do not know the specifics because it's been a while.
Okay. So how did you become a marketer?
So
how did you learn this world of marketing?
So,
and I want to go as deep as you want to go. So take your time and tell the
so
story.
When
because supposedly you're a god at it, and everybody's like, "Oh, Ron is a marketing."
I wouldn't go that far.
I saw your presentation a week or two ago at Soup Live, and I was like, "Whoa, he's saying stuff that's amazing." So how did you?
So 9 years ago, I looked my wife square in the face, and I said, "I cannot work for the man any longer."
Okay. Yeah.
I'm out. I don't know what we're gonna do, but I'm out.
Yeah.
And we talked back and forth. And the things that I know are insurance, healthcare, and finance.
Okay.
Because of all the jobs that led us to there, right?
Yeah, you can't be an actuary and not work for the man, right? You
Correct.
have to work for the man.
I mean, you can work contract gigs. Actually, one of my clients who lives now in the Angel Fire area is an actuary.
And does contracts.
For one of the PNC companies that we represent.
Yeah.
And she works on a contract basis and works remote and does whatever she wants.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Great.
9 years ago, honey, I
got to do this. So it becomes, what are you going to do? Well, the things that I know besides eating food are insurance,
drinking beer,
healthcare, finance. And so it became a moment where the the path of least resistance
Right.
was to open insurance agency.
Okay, good. I love it. Yeah.
So I passed the licensing exams for both PNC and life and health general lines back to back in about an hour and a half.
Yeah, sure.
So
Yeah.
here we go.
Yeah, it's done. I'm ready to go.
And I was a farmer's agent. I don't know if we're supposed to say that or not.
You can say that. That's no big deal.
That's where
As long as you don't say anything bad about farmers, you can say anything you want about farmers.
So the most awesome part
I just said you can say anything you want about farmers as long as it's not bad. Okay.
So as luck would have it,
then we'll just start editing out the
Mr. Taylor Davi and I met at what they call career school for farmers.
Oh, really? You guys go that far back?
So we live 45 minutes apart.
I know you guys live close.
And we traveled to Grand Rapids, Michigan to meet.
Really?
At career school. Through the University of Farmers. And we came back, and it's like, okay, what do I do now? Because they don't teach you marketing. No, nobody does, right? You got to figure it out.
Yeah.
So I spent a year buying internet leads, sending direct mail, because somebody who had been an agent for a long time said, hey,
that's the right way to do it.
Let's send direct mail.
Yeah, right.
It's got a 1%
We'll
open
use
rate.
the county records and we'll send them this thing and it'll work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and it did work. It helped me build that farmer's business that I subsequently ultimately sold off.
Sure.
So Taylor and I met, fast forward a year, he had gone down the internet marketing rabbit hole, which greatly fascinated me because old school seems stupid.
Yeah.
And it's not that it's bad or stupid, but it seemed it at the moment because of how the world works.
Maybe it seemed antiquated.
Yeah,
is that the right word?
It seemed dumb.
Okay, fine.
I mean, you buy everything else on the internet, right? Why are you going to... Anyway.
Yeah.
So fast forward a year, I get this phone call from Taylor. He's like, hey.
Hey, man.
I'm thinking about, we're gonna do this class thing to teach people how to market on the internet.
Market on the internet.
I was like, all right. What's that mean?
Yeah.
And so I was, I think, the first person to sign up for his class. He told me later when I actually PayPal'd him the money that he pulled over the side of the road and cheered and celebrated because they'd actually made money out of it.
Yeah.
And so for 6 weeks, on Tuesday and Thursday night, in the month of June, we got on a Google Meet with a dozen other people, he and Brian Blair.
Wow.
And
I just want to take a moment to say, I can't stand.
I have my issues with Brian.
Oh, you do too?
He puts things in his whiskey and makes it not as good. So
is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's a different conversation.
Okay.
So I learned about things like Woofu and Facebook ads and targeting.
Yeah.
And this was back when you could do it a whole lot
easier, right? Yeah.
So since then, I like to figure things out. I'm a problem solver. So that's really cool. We can generate leads. We can automate stuff. We can sell people policies.
Yeah, right.
But the landscape's always changing. So this formula that works right now today
is going to change.
It's going to change ultimately.
How you buy leads on Facebook will change.
So if you look at the difference now compared
I meant
to
ads. I said leads.
The ads that you purchase now, the way you construct them today, are ultimately very different than what we did 6 years ago, 7 years ago. And so becoming a marketer, it's been a process. So I've learned from lots of people like Taylor and Michael, right? And inside that soup sphere, I've tested a lot of stuff. I've learned from people like Bond Halbert, Ryan Levesque, who's down in Austin. He's a big internet marketer. I've learned from those guys, taken classes, been in seminars, read books, copied things that they do.
Right.
Most good marketers are thieves, if we're being
true. I would think so. I would absolutely think so.
So as you get deeper and deeper down the rabbit hole and you begin to understand.
So did you
things
do
like
it because it was
avatars.
fun to figure it out, or did
Ultimately
you
it
do
was
it
really
because you were like, this is 100% how I plan to fill my pipeline, or were you just like, yeah, I'll fill my pipeline in 5 or 6 or 7 different ways, but I really am enjoying figuring out this puzzle.
So if you figure out how to solve that puzzle,
Yeah.
you can deploy the puzzle in many different formats.
Oh. Okay.
So figuring out that puzzle, I don't have it all figured out today.
Yeah,
I'm still
yeah.
learning.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
still
yeah,
adapting.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm doing things differently now on various platforms than I did
Right.
2 years ago, 4 years ago, whatever.
Right.
But the concept of discovering who Sean is, where to find Sean,
Yeah.
what people look like Sean, act like Sean, think like Sean, now I can present an offer that
To
you
a whole universe of Seans.
to a whole universe of Sean's that you
Yeah.
can't refuse. And I always use the analogy of fly fishing. So we could drive
20 minutes.
20 minutes, 40 minutes,
To
wherever
the Colorado Trail.
wherever we're going to
It's
go.
just right there.
Yeah. And the flies that we're going to put in the water today
Yeah.
are going to attract fish.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be completely different than the flies we would use 2 months from now when it's July. Because you're going to move from fishing below the surface to fishing on the surface. People are the same way. And different fish in different streams have different bugs, so you got to use different flies.
That's crazy. So how do you figure that all out without spending a ton of money?
Part of it is you have
And
to
going,
watch.
I don't have the money to figure that out.
Part of it is you have to watch. Part of it is you have to research. So, like, if we were to go fishing, the first thing we do when we get to a stream is look. What bugs do you see?
Big flies, little flies,
How
orange
deep
bugs,
is the water?
red bugs.
Is this a natural fishery or is this a stocked fishery?
Yeah.
All of those things play into. So you have to research before you ever deploy dollars.
How long do you have to watch? So you said the first thing we'll do is watch. Do you watch for 6 months? Do you watch for a week?
With fish, you don't watch for 6 months before you put flies in the water.
Oh, is that right?
I'm just saying.
Makes sense. I think I'm following you.
Most of the successful campaigns that we pay for. So there's a lot of things you can do internet-wise that don't cost money. They just cost time.
Right.
But the things that we pay for, we spend way more time researching than we do actually building and deploying.
And going. Yeah. Okay.
It saves us money in the long run.
Okay. So today your agency is awesome and you love it and you're like, this is the coolest thing. And I'm so glad 9 years later that I'm an independent insurance agency owner.
Sure.
Does your agency fill its new business pipeline strictly through social media and digital marketing because you're a digital marketing god? Or are you like, no, we're not idiots. We do it 5 or 6 different ways.
We do it multiple ways. So we do it. So there is an audience on Facebook of insurance agents across the country. Everybody's moving to Texas.
Yeah.
We generate tons of referrals from those relationships.
Yeah. So they're just saying, hey, Uncle Ron, take it.
Yeah. So Friday afternoon, I get a phone call. It's from a guy who just moved to DFW from California. So-and-so told me to call you.
Yeah.
How do you know them? Like, honestly, I've never met him face to face.
Yeah.
Oh, we've been friends for a long time through the miracle of social media.
Yeah.
So there's that aspect of it. There is an aspect of me interacting with people local to me, whether they be lenders, whether they be neighbors.
The health guy, Mitch, that you're hanging out with on Saturday, right?
So, so those guys that are local to me, they can send me referrals.
Yeah.
I get direct messages from people that know what I do because we simply interact with people and provide value and try not to just shove insurance down their throat all the time.
Right.
And all of a sudden they're like, hey, can you handle this?
Yeah.
So that's a second one. There's a whole nother conversation that goes on Twitter.
Yeah.
And there's almost no insurance agents involved in that conversation.
You play a lot on Twitter?
Especially during sports. Yeah. So there is a massive Baylor sports community that exists on Twitter. And that, along with message boards, it all gets intertwined.
Yeah.
But now you're seen as, so I got a private message on a message board.
Right.
Somebody I also interact with on Twitter had a question about insurance. Okay, well, will you take a look at this for me?
Right.
Then we have the search engine, the organic stuff that we do where we publish content on the regular. That drives a certain amount of traffic to the website. A call to action creates a click-through rate, which creates a conversion, which creates a prospect, which ultimately creates a customer.
When you say you create content, is it always video content?
No.
Or almost never?
I
know you create video content, but
we deploy.
I don't see a ton of it.
We deploy content in as many. So we take a singular idea, and the attempt is to deploy it in as many mediums as possible.
Yeah.
Whether that be written, whether that be video, whether that be
a dance on TikTok.
It could be a dance.
It's like
I don't TikTok, but you could, yeah.
Expressing the idea that you came up with.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's that aspect, and then there is the paid search aspect.
Yeah.
There is the paid ad aspect.
Okay.
And all of them behave slightly differently, but it's about understanding and attracting the people that you
want to attract.
Work with.
So only 9 years being an insurance agent? That's it?
Yeah, that's it.
Farmers was how much of that 9 years?
Right at three and a half.
Where'd you go after that?
To
Independence.
Be independent. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. How would you describe the difference between the two worlds?
Night and day. That's not negative, but it's
no.
So if you, so McDonald's is a beautiful example of doing a singular thing the same way every single time. So no matter where you go in the world,
and the outcome is predictable, and you go
super predictable. Chick-fil-A is the same thing.
I'll just eat a Big Mac. I just know what I'm getting.
Chick-fil-A is the same thing.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
An independent is where you go, well, now I've got a food court.
Yeah. And I own all
of the entities.
Yeah, all of the
So
restaurants.
if you want Chick-fil-A, we can go here. If you want
Mexican smothered French fries, we can give you that.
Green chilies are over here. The whole nine.
You want the Chinese food? We have that too.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's an interesting way. I've never heard it described that way, but I would say it's absolutely that. All of the food court options are great. It's just that you're no longer stuck with just
you're no longer
McDonald's.
selling a hammer,
right?
Even though you really need a screwdriver.
Yeah. What goes into a screwdriver? The actual drink.
That would be vodka and orange juice.
Vodka and orange juice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. I don't drink, so I often mix orange juice and ginger ale and call that my version of a screwdriver. I know it doesn't count, but I'm just saying to a guy who doesn't drink.
From a flavor profile standpoint, that would be the ginger ale is going to make you lean more towards.
I know a Russian mule, right, or a Moscow mule, right? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, but there's no orange juice in it. But yeah,
I get it. Yeah. And I don't serve that drink in a brass cup either with a mint leaf. See, for a guy who doesn't drink,
you know a lot about it.
Tell you what,
because you hang out with insurance agents.
That's right. If you don't know alcohol, then suddenly insurance agents are like, "What?
Hang out
this
with
is
this
not computing."
Yeah, for sure.
All right, cool. So, thoughts on the soup event 2 weeks ago? Was it 2 weeks ago? A week ago?
Like a week and a half ago, somewhere in there.
What were your thoughts? And I'm going to ask you a hard question. This one's going to create enemies. Frenemies. So let's start with the first question. What did you think of the event?
So the event was great. So being a digit less than 10 inaugural member of Soup,
right?
When it was called Insurance Stew.
Oh, really? I didn't even know it was called Stew.
Yeah, there's a story behind that.
Okay. You have to say that you liked it then.
No, I don't have to say. I can tell them it sucked.
Okay, but it did. And it was amazing.
There was a vibe pre-pandemic of the community that seemed to dissipate a little bit through all of the lockdowns and all.
Yeah.
It's just hard.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It was a bad time.
And so the people in the room had that vibe back.
Yeah, it was like,
and that and there was
hug and let's get close and let's enjoy
but there was also a lot of value delivered to the people that were there.
Yeah,
which has been the vibe, and the value has always been the MO with Soup.
Yeah. Yep.
So putting that on a stage in a room full of people, it was there.
It was interesting to see how it would translate, right? Because I'm sitting there going, it clearly exists in soup. There's vibe, there's value, there's fun, there's, you know, and then to go, well, let's turn it into a live event and let's put it on a stage. It's like, will this even translate?
And it did.
And it did beautifully.
Yeah,
it was absolutely amazing. Okay,
Yeah.
here's the question.
Okay.
And we're going to make enemies. Top 3 best talks or speeches that you had from the stage. And if you're uncomfortable with that, because let's just say there were a total of 12 speakers, okay? So if you want to make less enemies, I'll give you an easy way out. It's still the same question. You're going to have to make some enemies. But we can boil it down to top 3 content performers or speakers and top 3 emotional speakers where you're like, whoa, they really resonated with me. Unless you just want to go top 3 all the way through and just be like, I'm just going to tick off a bunch of people.
I'm just going to tick off a whole bunch of people.
Okay, let's just go top 3
so
best presentations.
David Carruthers.
David Carruthers was great.
I'm a big fan of how he does business.
Did you know David Carruthers' brand in his speech and his talk track before the thing?
I didn't know the talk track, but I knew. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I'd done some research.
David Carruthers always brings the heat.
I am a massive fan of Jack Jameson going back to my farmer's days. And Jack and I have a lot of things in common.
Jack tore it up. I did not expect to cry at the insurance soup thing. And
I knew Jack was speaking, so I knew the whole room was going to cry.
Yeah.
And for me...
Such a great presentation, though.
And it is. And there's a lot of my story that can resonate with his story. Now, my family's not all in prison, but...
Yeah.
The third...
He's probably listening to this like, my family's not all in prison. It was just one guy.
No, it's more than one.
Oh, is it?
You didn't pay close enough attention.
Yeah,
You weren't listening.
I was screwing around backstage a lot.
So the third best one for me was Malia.
Malia.
And that's because...
So good.
I know Malia for a while.
Yeah.
And I know what she does for other people. And for her to share that knowledge was really cool for me to watch.
Yeah, to see her come into her own or something. So you hated C.J. Hunsenpiller's presentation.
It's all right.
And you hated Troy's presentation.
It's pretty good.
And you hated Bradley Flowers' presentation.
Well, Flowers, so let's talk about Flowers. Takes a shot at my driving. I had a Hans device in the back. His problem
you picked him up from the airport, right?
I picked him up from the airport, and he gets on stage, and he says he needed a Hans device to get there because of my driving in my
What is a Hans device? I don't even know what that is.
It's the thing that fits around the race car driver's neck to keep them safe.
Okay.
Well, I had one, but it was for a 6'3" dude.
Like a linebacker kind of guy, right?
From Alabama, yeah.
A big Alabama
And I got
guy.
Bradley instead.
Yeah,
I don't
a little
know.
like, what is he, like 6 foot? No, excuse me, like 5 foot, like 7?
Maybe.
Yeah, tops,
with
right?
Platforms on.
I
don't know.
Super small guy. A lot smaller than I expected, right?
Just saying.
Yeah, I'm
Scott
with you,
Howell. I'm just talking about the intro.
Over exaggeration.
I don't know.
All right, so we got your top 3. I agree. There were some great. I had no idea who Troy was, and his presentation blew my mind.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
I had no idea who Jack was. His presentation blew my mind. CJ always blows my mind. Yours was like,
average
I would give it
best.
like a D+ at best. You know,
I was hoping for a C-, but we'll settle for a D+.
I would love to.
D is for diploma, baby.
D+. I'll give you a D+. Okay. Solid D+. But so many good presentations where I just thought, man, these people are bringing like really incredible content to the audience. It was really, really incredible to watch. Yeah. I'm joking. Yours was great. I mean, I was even watching yours going, oh, he's talking about when I'm supposed to and where I'm supposed to like publish these podcasts. And I'm sitting there going, I'm doing this all wrong. So I appreciate you.
Shoe fits.
Yeah, it fit. It fit. Usually the glass slippers fit pretty well on my feet.
They do.
So I got very small feet. So here we go. So what do you do that is so special in social media? Like, is there a magical thing that you do that everybody watching is going to go, I can watch this and walk away and go, I'm going to do the same magical thing, or is that impossible to say?
The biggest thing I see people screw up is when they get online, they're an a-hole. Seriously.
That's funny because I think that's what got me kicked out of soup. Like back when it was 50 people as opposed to 42,000 or whatever it is.
So I don't remember which night it was. It may have been Friday night.
Yeah.
Thursday. I'm not sure.
You're talking about the convention still.
Well, we were at Sublime. McCormick and I, we were sitting there. And we were, and one of the things we talked about was the vibe. And are the people in the seats the same people that you see online?
Right. That's a good question.
And my wife would tell you I am an eternal optimist.
Yeah.
The glass is almost always half full, even if it's not half full. It's
it's a better way of looking at life
it's
or
just,
approaching life.
It's just part of my personality.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I see, because I watch people, because you can learn things from
Body
lots
language,
of places, right? I watch people online. I watch them in person. How are they behaving? Do they look the same, or are they using 47 filters?
Yeah, right.
No,
right.
You get all my glory right here.
Yeah, that.
But people go in, and they're just jerks.
Go into what?
Go into social media in general.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to be around you if that's the persona you always give off. That's what you're gonna attract.
Yeah.
People that are just like you. That are angry and ticked off and an a-hole.
Yeah.
And Mike and I we were kind of talking about it, and like with social media, it's where people are.
Yeah.
But they want to know who you actually are.
Yeah.
Which is why you see me
be yourself.
Be myself.
Yeah.
When I do dumb stuff, I tell them myself.
Yeah, right.
Stay positive.
Yeah.
Interact with other people. It costs you virtually nothing when somebody is celebrating something to say, that's awesome.
Yeah, or hit, I like that. I celebrate you celebrating.
Yes.
Yeah.
Celebrate other people. Don't be a jerk.
Yeah.
Be really who you are. And show some of the bad stuff so people know you're real, that you're not just plastic.
Right.
So when I got off of the airplane waiting on the car to pick me up to come see you, I see these thunderclouds rolling over the mountains, and I'm like, well, forgot to
Denver's gonna suck.
I didn't bring my raincoat or an umbrella.
Right.
Here we go.
Right.
So you take a picture and you're like making fun of yourself because you didn't bring a raincoat or an umbrella.
I always like post online. Like if I post a really good looking family picture or something, I'm always like, here's my, fake plastic family. But just so you know, just so I don't like give you a fake impression of who we are, we fought all the way to this picture studio. Like my wife and I literally were fighting about whatever, and these are all fake smiles because because none of this is real.
But I mean, if you can capture
an
the
hour
fight
ago,
in
the
a
kids were
photo,
crying.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There's also provide tangible value without selling directly.
Yeah, I saw a video you did the other day, and it wasn't selling directly, but it was incredibly tangible value. Like, client of mine, not a client of mine, you're moving to Texas, you should know this.
Yeah. So
and I thought, wow,
there's lots of changes that are going on with respect to home insurance, which is what we lead with because it gets us all the other things, right? And I see agents doing things that are going to create really bad situations for people who live around me.
Right.
That ticks me off.
Right.
So I'm going to tell you these things, whether you buy from me or not,
so
that you don't wind up with your butt in a sling.
Yeah. Which hopefully leads to people calling you and giving you business, but
it
whether it does or doesn't,
it absolutely does. You've done the right thing, first and foremost.
You've been a good citizen.
But it absolutely does result in people calling.
Sure.
You get the direct message, you ask some questions, the next thing you know, you're well down the path.
Funniest story in insurance?
Funniest story?
Ever. Funniest story ever in your entire career?
So, wow, that's a question. So it's funny, but it's not. Okay, so
in insurance, sometimes those stories exist.
So, because
it's funny that the elk fell into the pool.
Yeah,
in the
right. So it's
it was not funny when we had to shoot it and the whole pool filled up with like a murky red substance. That was not funny.
We're gonna kind of go down that path because we can laugh about the story now. So, while I was still with Farmers, prior to selling the business, I ended up in California is a separate class that they had for us to go
Okay.
through. So I'm 2 hours behind.
Mhm.
So I'm waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning because I typically get up like 5:15, 6. Some 5:30, somewhere in there, because I that's when I get my exercise in.
Right.
So I was waking up at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. I was running the streets of Agoura Hills, California, to get workout in. Came back. Well, what had happened while I was there? There was a giant storm that blew through DFW, and we've always texted with clients. So I hit breakfast at 6 because I've been up a while, and I knew it was going to be wild.
Yeah.
So I get this text from one of our customers in Plano, North Dallas, and she said, "The hail goddess, I really need you to call me ASAP. I've got a problem." Kind of vague. Is it a broken window?
Yeah, right.
Maybe there's some shingles missing. She's got some water coming in.
Right.
Normal stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I call her from California, and I'm like, "What's up?" Because it's 6:15 my time, 8:15 her time.
Yeah.
She said, "Hey, I have a volleyball-sized piece of hail sitting on my couch. What do I do?"
Yeah, I've heard in Texas it comes through the actual roof,
So
through the ceiling,
the
and
hail
lands
was
in the
big
family room.
enough, came through the roof, came through the ceiling, landed on the couch, and was still solid.
I've heard of this. I've had friends who have had this.
How do you explain this?
I used to live in North Dallas, and
So
I've only heard of it.
So I've seen some big hail. That's the biggest.
Yeah.
So I'm now quarterbacking from the West Coast, trying to get a roof. So I call my roofer, one of my roofer friends, to see, like, "Hey, I need you to get to Plano now."
This
and he's like,
2-foot diameter.
"Well, do they need a tarp?" And I'm like,
They need
probably
more
a
than
big
tarp.
one.
Yeah.
So he's like, "What do you mean?" Well, she said she's got a volleyball-sized piece of hail sitting on her couch. And he's like, "You serious?" Yeah. So I've got all these people that I'm coordinating to get there to get the roof sealed up, get the hail out of the house, get the claim started. So she was a very fun-natured person, the wife of that family, and that's who I was talking with.
Yeah.
And so after the fact, we got lots of laughs out of the fact that she was like, "I have a volleyball sitting on my couch," because the terminal velocity of an object that size, it's nuts.
That's incredible.
Like the physics involved to go through your roof, through your ceiling, onto your couch.
Just like this, in the form of ice,
Yeah.
would be an insanely
It would kill you.
dangerous.
Yeah, it would kill you.
Absolutely.
So that's why I say it's funny, but it's not.
I know. It's absolutely
Yeah.
crazy. Absolutely crazy. Should I try and tell mine? Yeah, I've
Sure.
been trying to tell it over and over and over. I'll tell it to you. We'll see if we have to edit it. We figured out a way maybe to say it. Okay? So I'm going to have to change some things to keep it on the thing. But we think we figured out a way to tell this story. So I'm just going to say an agent over the course of my 20 years. Okay?
Okay.
Calls me up and says, "Hey, I don't understand why I'm losing my appointment." Okay? So I'm like, "Well, you've burnt every bridge with this carrier, right? And, you can't do the things that you were doing with this carrier without burning the bridge." And he's like, "I didn't do anything." He's like, "Let me tell you exactly what is going on, Sean." I'm like, "Okay, you can tell me what's going on. I've kind of heard about it, but you can tell me what's going on." And he goes, "I'm going to change a couple things. You might be able to figure it out." But he goes, "The underwriter is practicing voodoo on my book of business." And the underwriter is a Satan worshiper voodoo person, right?
Wow.
And they're using their voodoo powers to influence my book of business through their underwriting authority. And I'm like,
It's all algorithms, man.
I'm like, first of all, this phone call's recorded. This is going to be crazy to listen back to. I can play it for you as soon as we're done here.
Okay.
And he goes, I'm like, I just want to repeat something, just to make sure I heard what you said. You told me that you think your underwriter is using voodoo powers, using their authority as an underwriter to like impact your business through voodoo. And you think that's actually happening? And he's like, yes, I think that's actually happening. That's happening, Sean. And I'm like, okay, well, you're crazy. And I can clearly tell why they're terminating your appointment. But it was the wildest conversation I've ever heard in my life where I'm like, what on earth are you talking about? By the way, when we said, hey, this might be the way you can explain this story is you like substitute ... for voodoo. And I'm like, okay. But somebody said, maybe you'll offend everybody who believes in voodoo. And I'm like, well, I'm okay with that.
So
somebody's going to email me.
Sometimes I feel like when I get a decline,
don't joke
it's
about
voodoo magic. But I mean,
but it was crazy. It was absolutely
crazy.
Crazy.
That's pretty funny.
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
All right, next question. So what about the most meaningful story? So like Jack, when he was on stage, said, it's all about storytelling and you got to get some stories that you can tell. So what like coverage stories do you have where you go, this is a real story, this actually happened, and you need to understand this insured so that you make the right decision when it comes to purchasing your coverages? Like when have you gotten to impact a family with?
So we actually just had one.
Okay,
recently.
good. Let's hear it.
So we have a trademark pending with the federal government around true Texas home insurance. Okay. And we view that as a way to systemize a base set of coverage that we feel are incredibly important and everyone should have at a minimum.
Yeah.
And some of those are perceived to be optional. And so we talk with people about that value because we don't lead with price. We always lead with value.
Yeah.
And so that's part of our value prop.
Yeah.
So one of those, two of those are sewer and drain backup and slow leak.
Oh, okay.
Slab leak.
Okay.
Slow leak.
Yeah.
Seepage and leakage.
Yeah.
Which is those two can be super controversial when it comes to a claim situation. So we had, and this particular family, they live in Dallas. He's a good Baylor guy, came through that network.
Yeah.
And we put those on there.
Yeah.
And he pays us greater than $10,000 a year for home and auto. It's not package. Inconsequential.
Yeah.
And we ended up in his renewal last fall, moved him from one carrier to another because of a fairly egregious rate change when he added one of his teen drivers.
Okay. Yeah. Happens all the time.
And that's part of why you go independent. You can retain that customer, right? So we included those same items moving from company A to company B, and I'm not going to name names.
Sure.
Because I don't want to make somebody mad.
Yeah.
One of them. And 5 weeks into that policy period, he discovers that there is a problem in his house because he had to call a plumber out. They run the scope. It's a pier and beam house. And he realizes that there has been a slow leak under the shower in the master bath.
Okay.
And the joist that runs underneath his subfloor
is
rotting completely out, completely unstable.
Yeah.
The plumber and the contractor said, I don't know how you're even still walking on this floor. It was so bad. Okay. Yeah. We filed the claim with company B, the new one that was 5 weeks into the policy period.
They say, whoa.
They say, wait a minute,
File
wait
it
a
on
minute,
company
wait a
A.
minute. They pulled an engineer's report.
Yeah, sure.
And said, this predates our policy period. This has been here long enough. We're denying coverage.
Yeah, sure.
Go to company A. So I call company A, do a consult with their senior level claims people, lay all the cards on the table, even send them the engineer's report.
Yeah.
And the guy says, open the claim. And it was approved at policy limit within a week, and he's able to repair his house.
Wow.
Like, you do that, people don't leave.
No, that guy's staying with you for the rest of his life.
It costs more.
Yeah.
But you've taken care of their most important asset, which is their home.
Right. That's a good story. It's a very good story. So it leads into the next question. How do you provide options to your customers, whatever those options are? This is what we suggest. This is what we want you to buy, blah, 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 blah. And then how do you document it so that you can show somebody, hey, look, we provided you options. This is what you chose.
So
how do you do that?
Some of it's going to depend upon the customer.
Yep.
If I don't have a certain level of trust with you, it's not optional. You can
You're
self-select.
This is what we're selling.
This is what we're providing to you. If you don't understand that this is important,
you can go somewhere else.
You could walk out the front of my office there in DFW.
Yeah.
You could swing something.
Yeah, yeah.
And you're going to hit a half a dozen insurance agents.
That's true. Absolutely.
We're everywhere.
Yeah.
We're worse than cockroaches. Okay? If you don't understand that value is important, maybe you're better off working with somebody else.
Yeah, yeah. So my next question, by the way, is how do you educate the value? So, I mean, they kind of go hand in hand. So you're saying we offer this.
And this is
what you're getting, and this is why. Okay.
And we use those tangible stories.
Okay, good.
So people want to know, so there is a company that we represent that gives you the option to do a named peril versus an open peril in the dwelling.
Okay.
One of the things that you give up in named peril, because it's it's a broad form, so it covers lots of things, but one thing it doesn't cover is wind-driven rain. So if you get a hailstorm and the shingles lift and the water comes underneath, you have no coverage.
Yeah.
Well, I can visually explain that to a homeowner, and they go, yeah, I need the open peril because that's really important.
Right.
When you talk about sewer and drain backup and you simply ask the question, if the sewer line backs up into your bathroom,
you got 10 grand.
Do you want to clean that up, or do you want me to pay to clean that up?
Right.
Well, that's an easy question.
Yeah.
One of the things that we always write uninsured motorist limits equal to
the
liability.
Yeah.
And the question I always ask people, who's more important to you? Who's worth more to you? Yeah. The people in your car or the people in the other car?
Right.
Well, nobody's going to say the people in the other car.
Right.
And if they do, watch out, right?
Right.
Why do you want to insure the people in the other car for more than you're insuring the people in your own?
Right. It's a great question. It's great. It's gold. It's Uncle Ron gold.
That's how we sell value.
Oh, I love it, Uncle Ron. All right. Let me ask you this question. Who sits on your personal board of directors? Who do you trust when you're making decisions in life?
So I do have a business partner who has a minority stake in the business. He bought in. He handles all of our commercial, does an awesome job. Yeah. He's on the board.
Good.
My wife.
Yeah.
I legitimately consult big decisions with Michael and Taylor on the regular.
Yeah.
I also have some local entrepreneur friends that I can bounce things off of.
Yeah.
One of them is a lender that we do a lot of business with, Ryan. We try to refer as many people his direction, and he sends all of his folks to us.
Yeah.
I've got a guy who is a professional marketer for his entire career.
Yeah.
That I am a part of a group of guys from my church. We get together every Friday morning and have coffee, and he is a part of that.
Yeah.
That network
that you trust. You say, I'm thinking about doing this. What are your thoughts?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. How about biggest influencers since getting into the insurance industry? Obviously, Michael and Taylor.
Yeah, I mean, they've got to be way up that list, especially on the agency side.
Yeah.
So the very first guy that I worked for, he was the chief actuary there at Transamerica, and Ross, God love him. His biggest form of flattery was when he told you something didn't totally suck.
Well, that doesn't totally suck.
That's when you knew you had arrived. Okay? And he used to get mad at me because I would automate all the things that we did.
Yeah.
And some of those models would run for hours.
Yeah.
So I'd push the button.
Walk
be
away.
like, I'm I'm out.
Yeah. I'll be back in
I'll
2
be
hours.
back. I'll be back in a few hours when this is all done.
Yeah.
But as I had spent time with him, with that brief snippet of London in the middle that you referenced earlier, there came a point where I was maxed out within that organization because I didn't want to pursue the actuarial exams.
Right.
There was just too much life going on. It just didn't appeal to me.
Yeah.
And he looked me square in the face and he goes, "You're one of the biggest key people I have in this office.
Yeah. I need you to take these exams."
He wanted me to, but he also knew I wasn't going to.
Yeah, right.
And he very candidly said, "You're way more valuable than what I can legitimately pay you."
Right.
He goes, "You came in not knowing a whole lot, and I have succeeded to a point that I need to tell you, go find
You'll be
another
better
job."
with something outside of here. Yeah.
He pushed me
Those are great
out.
people to have on your personal board of directors. When you go, that person has my best interest at heart. And now I can bounce real stuff off of that person. Yeah, that's cool. That's really cool. Is he still around?
He is mostly retired now. He lives in Florida.
Yeah.
He does some contract work when he wants to, for the most part.
Cool.
Haven't seen him in a few years, but so he's up there. I mean, truly. So there was there's one other person, and we weren't truly in insurance, but my boss in the last job before I opened the agency. So we were doing consulting for healthcare organizations to help them improve outcomes for patients and improve revenue for
which is
side.
the iPhone now, or the iWatch. Those life insurance companies are now giving away the iWatch and saying, do what the iWatch says, we'll give you one for free.
We were doing a lot of that stuff before this technology was around.
Really?
So we were, and we were specifically on the financial side.
Yeah.
And Ted was this, I mean, he's an amazing friend now.
Yeah.
Incredible teacher of, I mean, he truly taught me how to sell, even though I wasn't selling anything.
Right. Maybe he taught you that everybody's a salesperson.
There was a part of that. I remember the first time I was on a conference call with him. We got off, and he looked at me, and he goes, "Why do you love the word brilliant so much?" And I'm like,
"It's bloody brilliant."
I was like,
I just got back from London.
I was like, I don't know that I love the word brilliant. He goes, "You used it like 26 times during that 1 hour call." And I was like, oh. So we all have our crutch words.
Right.
And you have to determine what that is. He helped me determine. So those kinds of skills are the things that Ted taught me. To the point when I was at the end of that run, one of our clients was the largest, at the time, hospital and physician network in the U.S.
Oh, wow.
And I dealt directly with the physician services side. They would, every 3 months, put me on a plane, fly me to that city.
Yeah.
I would sit down with the CEO of that organization, go through all of their outcomes, and keep the contract intact,
right,
and then fly back.
Wow.
So the growth that came through there, the things he taught me, when it came time to try to explain why you need both auto and home,
right,
Mr. Homeowner.
Yeah, it's a piece of cake.
It wasn't as intimidating as it would be.
All right, soup on dirt. I mean, dirt on soup.
Dirt on soup. So it was called Insurance Stew once upon a time.
Yeah, that's crazy. Why? Why was it called stew? And why did it change? I mean, stew and soup are basically the exact same thing.
They are the same thing. It's a melting pot of great ideas.
Yes, it is.
But there was an individual who I'm not going to name.
Okay.
Who was a bit onerous in teaching things.
Okay.
And was the genesis of the group even being started.
Ah.
And it was done kind of in a fit of rage.
Ah.
So there was, in that name,
Stu.
there was
Oh, an acronym maybe.
there was a bit of homage paid
Yeah.
to that fit of rage, and only one of the folks is as highly successful now as the other. I don't know.
Nobody on earth has any idea what you just said for the last minute. They're all like, "Whoa!"
I can't say the name.
Fine, that's perfectly fine.
So-
I just want to
so
throw
there-
out.
so there
not
was-
a single person
there was a-
listening
there was a
is going
fit of-
the last minute. They'll be like, "I have no idea."
So
What
when
he
we were,
just
when we
said.
were when we were first so the CAC classes that I referenced
Yeah.
back at the
Early on.
beginning,
Yeah,
very
yeah,
early
yeah,
on, they were Tuesday, Thursday nights, and
Yeah,
then they
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
morphed.
yeah.
And it's like, how do you do this full time?
Yeah,
So each
yeah.
of those cohorts
Mm-hmm.
had its own little Facebook group.
Mm,
Well, I was
yeah,
in
yeah,
all
yeah,
of
yeah,
them,
yeah.
trying to help things along and whatever. And that's where Blair came up with Uncle Ron. That's what he's claiming.
Oh, is that right?
I don't
Blair
remember.
invented Uncle Ron.
That's what he's claiming.
Did I mention I can't stand
I
him?
know. That's why I brought it up.
Okay, I was just gonna say.
So he, so in that process, I went to bed one night
He's always got corn in his beard.
and woke up the next morning, and I'm in this group called Insurance Stew.
How did I get in this group?
What group is this, and who sucked me in here? Well, then I see
yeah.
what's kind of going on. So I
Yeah.
trade messages
I
with
see.
Taylor, and there was some bad blood that was brought to light, and in a fit of rage,
Stu.
it was called Stew, and then it was probably a cooler head prevailed, and they changed it to Sue.
I think I'm beginning to understand a little bit, but okay, cool. All right,
That's the best dirt.
That's the best dirt. That's pretty good dirt. I mean, everybody is now like hanging on the edge of their seat, going, oh, "I need to know more."
Yeah, I'll get the instant messages.
Yeah, and find out what it is.
It's all good.
Favorite carrier? Why? By the way, we're not burning bridges this time around. This question This question is not designed to burn bridges.
So
you have a million carriers that you love.
So as we've talked,
but which one's your favorite?
My office has settled in on the personal line side to only offering 6.
Okay, yeah.
Which
is genius, by the way.
Congratulations. We don't try to.
Congratulations.
We don't try to be all things to all people. We have.
This is who we know. This is what we do. This is who we have confidence in. This is who we
have confidence in all of them.
Yes. But which one do you love the most?
The one that I probably love the most is a Texas only mutual company.
You can say it.
And that would be Germania.
Yeah.
And the reason that it is, when I have a question, I call a number and actually get to talk to the same underwriter.
Yeah, that's cool.
All the time.
Instead of a rotating underwriter.
Or a call center of who knows who's answering.
Yeah.
If I have a claim question, it's the same process. Yeah. If we have a billing issue, it's the same like I talk to the same people over and over again. So I had a home policy that we issued right before Soup Life. Mm-hmm. And it is someone in that social media realm that I have become friends with over the last few years. Mm-hmm. And the fact that they reached out to me and I was the person.
Right.
Was like this. It was a big deal to me.
Yeah. They were saying, you're the Germania guy.
Or not even Germania, but
you're
I'm
just the insurance
agent
guy. This
that's
is the
going
guy.
to take care of this.
Yeah.
And those were their words, not mine.
Yeah.
Okay. And in that process, there was a zero pay claim on the clue report, which technically should have not allowed the policy to be issued. I had an explanation.
Yeah.
I called, and they made the exception.
Yeah. Because you had a relationship with the underwriter.
And they look at our loss ratio and our book of business, and they know we're not giving them junk.
Yeah. I would like to say a couple things about Germania. Okay. I need to get down and meet Germania face to face. I haven't been down there.
I'll meet you down there.
I'll go with you. It's coming. I will
Brenham's
be
not
down
that
there
far
soon.
away.
They just got a new CEO. Okay. I love Germania. When I lived in Texas, I would drive all over the state of Texas and fly all over the state of Texas. And in every small town in Texas, there was a Germania office. And I always was like, man, this is a beautiful brand and a beautiful name and a beautiful company. I have nothing bad to say about Germania. There is no but or however. I just want to say, in addition to those comments, my concern is that that maybe their new business versus renewal business is out of whack or something. And but they're writing in Denton and Collin County. You know,
that's my fear. And
that's
we
my
don't
point.
we don't typically write north of 635
Yeah.
unless it's a heavy referral.
Okay.
I don't market that direction.
Yeah.
I market south.
Okay.
Because it's much better for
Losses and profit.
Yeah, absolutely. That said, we are beginning to see some increases on renewal activity.
Yeah.
And so that's going to create some headache. Everybody who goes into Denton and Collin County does the same thing.
Yeah.
It's underpriced.
Yeah. This is so. I guess my point is I'm worried sitting here in Denver. I'm worried.
It's a fair concern, but it's not at all dissimilar from any of the other carriers that I'm going to name.
Yeah.
It's a. We do with where we are with respect to hill
but then
country.
It gets to like product sophistication and all of that kind of stuff. So you could name the other 5 carriers that you do business with, and then we have to get into but let's just say Safeco, for example. Is
Sure.
Safeco does Safeco or Travelers have more product sophistication to do it?
They do have
versus a mutual company that's been around forever that is maybe less product sophistication. I'm not suggesting that's the case. I'm just saying from my seat in Denver, I look at Germania and I go, man, I really hope that they got it all under control.
So they've made some changes and sophistications to the policy in the last. So one of the things that, like, when we sit down and talk with our rep, he says, you guys are doing what we want.
Yeah.
How do we do it better and more? And so it's a very back and forth.
Yeah.
In my estimation with them. So when I first went independent, we wrote a ton of stuff in Denton and Collin County.
Okay.
And we wrote it with
a carrier that probably burned out and had to pull out.
We wrote with a bunch of carriers because it was inexpensive.
Right. Yeah.
And
you made
and I can name
the
all
rookie mistake.
I can name all the companies that have gone out of business, gone bankrupt, pulled out of the state,
went into receivership, stopped paying you commission, all of it.
I can name all of them because we, at one point in time, were doing business with all of them.
Yeah.
And we saw what was happening in that process. Germania is not grossly underpriced.
I think what you're saying is all of the things that you saw when you wrote with all of those folks, there was writing on the wall that indicated stuff's going to hit the fan one day. You could just see it. And you're saying you don't see it with Germania. So you have a level of comfort.
They're not grossly underpriced.
Yeah.
Because ultimately that's where the problem
that's when you
lies.
go, something bad's going to happen here.
In they have some very tight restrictions on some of the auto stuff that other carriers don't have, which actually helps.
Yeah.
And it makes it easier to package that business together.
Yeah.
Because again, when you package,
more lines of business, more profitability.
You can spread some of that risk over the written premium.
And this has been the Germania Hour. I wasn't planning on talking about Germania.
I'm not going to tell you they're perfect.
No.
But you asked who my favorite was.
Yeah.
I mean, the other.
I don't blame you, quite frankly. I think, like I said, let's end the Germania section by me just repeating myself. I've always loved the Germania brand, and I love the fact that we have access to Germania. And that our agents have access to Germania. I need to get down there and meet them face to face because I haven't yet. And from Denver, I'm nervous about what's going on with Germania.
And it's a very fair emotion.
Yeah.
Because
it's Texas. It's not even the company specifically. It's just Texas is a volatile environment.
It's super volatile.
So I need to make sure that if we're growing and playing with a carrier, we got it dialed in.
So another one that I would tell you that I probably had some amount of fear with similarly was Mercury when it made its big push in.
Yeah.
Great company to work with.
I love
it's who I've got my own personal home and auto with right now.
Biggest carrier in California.
I see
At least it
them probably bringing some rate.
Yeah, yeah.
Because they, especially on new construction, were well below everybody else for a while.
Yeah, yeah.
So I've seen...
Great company, though.
A great company. I love them.
Yep. So I know Mercury very, 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 very well. I talk to Mercury all the time. So my
you have a level of comfort with them.
Exactly. My apprehension doesn't exist with them because I know them very, very well.
And I probably talk to the folks in Brenham more than
all the time. Yeah.
Not all the time, but yeah.
Okay.
Try not to bug.
Salesiest sales pitchy thing that you do. Where you're like, yeah, I'm guilty of it. I do that salesy pitchy thingy.
So
most agents won't fess up to this question.
So
they're like, I don't do that. I am strictly a take it or leave it. I'm not a salesy sales guy. But you got to do a certain salesy
There's a
sales
certain
thing.
amount of even when you're coming from an educational standpoint.
Sure.
There is a certain amount of sales.
Sure.
You can educate all day long, but if you don't actually put something on the books, you don't
if
right?
a contract doesn't get signed,
you don't eat.
Yeah, exactly.
So one of the
except in your situation because your wife's a doctor.
She has her own practice.
Or whatever she is.
We can
I'm joking.
That's a whole other conversation.
You'll eat just fine.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding. I'm joking.
So probably the salesiest thing I do comes with telling a story.
Okay.
And when it comes to selling life insurance, I've got a story.
You got a good story.
I can make you cry.
Yeah, I don't want to hear the story. I really don't want to hear the story because I don't want to cry. But it was probably like along the line of Jack Jameson's stories.
It was fairly
like,
similar
okay.
because my dad had his first heart attack at 38.
Oh, wow.
The second one at 48.
How's your heart?
And the third one got him at 56.
Wow. How's your heart?
So I have
you
a
got
pacemaker.
a good one? You do?
Yeah.
Oh, I think I might have known that.
So I've had a pacemaker since I was 20 years old.
Wow.
So my heart completely stopped for 28 seconds.
You got a crappy heart.
So guess what happens? Guess what
like,
happens?
I never agreed to talk about any of this crap.
No. So guess what happens when your heart stops at the age of 20 and you get a pacemaker?
You get really bad eyes and you have to get glasses that are as thick as bottle
I've had
caps.
glasses since I was 2.
I
That
know.
started
What
way
happens?
before that.
And have you gotten a new pacemaker? They have to put a new one in
So
every
I'm
once
on
in a while,
device
right?
number 3.
Wow. That's crazy.
Original wires, device number 3.
Wow.
But in that moment, you move from being a 20-year-old kid with everything in front of you to almost uninsurable from a life standpoint.
Wow.
That's why you need that juvenile policy, Sean.
Oh.
You're guaranteeing insurability.
And this is the sales pitch right here. You're answering the question.
Yeah.
That is pretty salesy. But I like it. See, the
It's
nice
true,
thing,
though.
This is why I love stories. And Jack is exactly right. This is why stories are the best. Because stories are salesy, but they don't come off as being salesy. They just come off as, I just want to tell you a story.
You're not selling a used car. You're explaining why this is important.
Exactly.
And you're pulling on the emotion to get them into the scenario so that they...
What is it? Ethos, pathos, and what's the other one? Ethos, pathos, and logos.
Yes.
Yeah. You're like, what is he talking about? I don't know. Latin.
I don't know Latin,
Yeah,
but
those
I
are
know
like
the,
the
I know
three
those
arguments,
words.
whatever.
Yeah.
My daughter was like, how do you know that, Dad? I'm like, I learned one thing in college, and it was ethos, pathos, and logos.
So my daughter goes to my youngest daughter goes to a classical education
Ours does too.
school.
Does she really? Yours does? Ours do too.
And they are going to learn Latin.
Ours already are.
Yeah.
We should talk about that offline too.
I believe it's 5th grade when they start.
Yeah. My daughter's a freshman in high school at that classical school, and she's been taking it for like 4 or 5 years now.
We just finished 3rd grade, so there's a little...
Yeah. We'll talk about that offline.
Yeah.
Okay, so proactive outreach to clients or reactive outreach to clients on renewals?
Because of the volatility that you mentioned,
in the Texas
in
environment.
the Texas market environment, we are proactively doing that.
all the time on every policy, or just on a specific level of rate increases, or what?
For the last 12 months, we have done it on all renewals.
Okay. And do you do it with technology, or do you do it an automatic text message goes out and says your policy's renewing in 60 days? If you want to talk, we'll talk? Or how do you do it?
So it's a work in progress at the moment. For the last year, we have more or less remarketed every account.
Wow. That's crazy.
It is crazy.
No offense. I believe that's absolutely crazy. You've offered to remarket. You haven't actually remarketed every account.
Remarketed all.
Ron, what are you talking about?
Hold on.
Please explain yourself, because everybody watching is going,
let me explain.
That's ridiculous.
So when we go into the retention center and look at renewals.
He's talking about Easy Links.
Easy Links Retention Center. We look at the renewals.
And everything's super high.
Everything's 15% or more.
Well, couldn't you have sent out a freaking email that said, hey, let me explain what's going on? Or send a link to the video that you made that says, I don't want to actually remarket every single one of these, so let me educate you so that when your renewal comes in and it's high, I don't have to go through the process of remarketing every single one?
So let me put some color around this process.
Please give me some context, because
now,
all of my faith in you, Ron, is like going, my mind is spinning right now.
So there's a couple of things in play.
Okay.
So number one, 60 days prior, people are getting an email right now. Yep. It's got a link to a form.
Okay.
And we are asking you.
I love it. What's changed in your life?
Did
you buy a boat?
Did you buy a boat? Have you changed jobs?
New jewelry?
Have you divorced?
Yeah.
Remarried?
Got it. Yep. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Remodeled your house?
Everybody get this document that he's talking about.
Are you looking to sell your house?
Yes. What's changed in your life?
Are you thinking about refinancing?
Yeah.
Have you had additional children?
Are you moving to London?
Because there's a handful of things in all those questions.
Yeah.
Number one, if somebody's about to sell, you're obviously not going to remarket.
Yeah.
If somebody is about to refi, you can now provide a referral to a lender friend of yours.
Okay.
If they're thinking about selling, same thing with the referral to a lender. So you're now providing value back to your network.
Okay.
Besides discerning, do we need to get a financial advisor involved in a 401k rollover? Do we need to evaluate life insurance because you've had more kids?
I'm calming down.
All of those things. If you've remodeled, do we need to adjust your replacement cost?
Okay.
Have you added a barn on the back 2 acres?
Bought a new rental or bought a new thing down in Austin that you're Airbnb-ing.
All those things, right? So that we can round out accounts and provide value to to referral partners.
Okay, but that still doesn't equal remarket. So
now we're into how does this remarket system happen? If you're 15% or more, which is every freaking account in Texas, at a minimum, we are going to sync the policy to an application in Easy Links. We
push a button and see
going to push a button and see if the slot machine produces an egregious change.
Okay.
That can be done
in
leveraging leveraging things like virtual assistants, new employees that are trying to learn the systems, because it teaches them how to navigate all those processes. Right?
Got it.
If there is nothing that pops up in that moment, we communicate that we did a cursory check. If all of these...
We think everything's cool, we're going to leave it alone.
It's high. The marketplace is nuts. Yeah. Everybody's up.
Our recommendation is stay put.
Is to stay put. Yeah. If we can find something that's going to provide tangible value and change
and savings,
we will make a recommendation of, hey, do you want us to explore this further? And then we go through the process of fully remarketing and confirming what we need to change.
Okay. I have a question to ask you once we turn this off that's related to this subject. Okay. Your agency tech stack. If you say Brian Blair's name one more time, I swear
I have
I'm gonna freak
none
out.
of Brian Blair's tech stack.
Good, because I can't stand that guy. Although I do like his tech stack a lot. I like Agency Alpha.
So first and foremost, we start with Easy Links.
Comparative rater and management system.
And Retention Center is in there as well.
Yep. So you bought a couple extra layers of the management system.
Yes.
Good.
That said, you could change to another system.
And you'd be fine with that.
I'd be okay because I keep a separate CRM in HubSpot.
Okay.
And we use, so
HubSpot's your CRM.
HubSpot is our CRM. Yeah. And if it did downloads, it would be our agency management system as well.
But you had to put in all the effort to create what HubSpot is for your agency. It didn't magically just come to you.
It's happened over the last 7 years.
Yeah.
So we leverage the sales professional, the marketing professional.
I don't even know what all this is. These are sub-products inside of HubSpot.
Sub-products that we pay for inside of HubSpot. Because the HubSpot CRM at a base level is free up to 1 million contacts.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
But you can pay for...
To make it more robust
to make it actually do stuff. So we pay for their sales professional, their marketing professional. They actually host, and instead of using like WordPress, they actually have control of our website. So we do all of our manipulation in there, post the blogs.
Yeah.
It's integrated with social media to push things to business pages.
I like this.
It allows us to record all of phone calls that we make.
Yeah. Although it's not your phone system.
It's not our voice over IP system. No. Okay. I'll get to that in a second.
Okay. I'll be anxious to hear who you use.
We do all of our marketing automation through there.
Okay.
We do, it's chatbots for website. It's chatbots for...
They provide all the chatbots and stuff?
So I had to build them, but they're in there.
Got it.
I push ads to Facebook and Google from there. So it integrates with the ad platform. Yeah. It is a robust system that has taken me 7 years to get to where it is today. That's the...
Is there like a
HubSpot?
If
you took that from me, I would cry.
Yeah. Is there like a HubSpot in a box that somebody can buy? Like if somebody came and said, I want what Ron has, but I don't want to spend 7 years figuring it out and trying to build it. So I just want the Uncle Ron version of HubSpot. We can sell that to you.
There are consultants who can amass the system for you if you want to pay for it.
Yeah.
I like to tinker with stuff.
Yeah, you like figuring it out. Yeah.
So like a workflow automation. So for instance, you buy a policy from us, you get put into a list.
Right.
That you're now the customer.
Thank you for buying the policy. It's been 30 days. You haven't signed the electronic
Now you get put into a workflow automation.
Yeah.
Part of it's to remind us to do stuff.
Sure.
Part of it's to communicate with you periodically throughout the year. Hey, remember that we text on our business line. Yeah. You know, things like that. Yeah. It can send texts. Yeah. It sends emails.
Okay, so that's your CRM. What's next in the tech stack?
So the next in the tech stack,
if there is anything else,
we are a Google Workspace shop.
Okay.
So they handle our email.
Okay.
Our cloud storage.
Okay. Got it.
All the things that you do with Google.
Yep.
Including ads and analytics on the website. Yeah. We currently use RingCentral for voice over IP. I don't love it.
Yeah.
But I don't have a better alternative that does what it does.
Have you ever heard of Lightspeed?
I have, and I've heard positives and negatives that make me go,
I don't know anything.
I don't know that it's worth changing.
Yeah, I don't know anything about it. I just know that like I go to these masterminds and hey, raise your hand if you use Lightspeed, and half the room raises their hand. I'm going, that must be something.
If I was going to make a change, it would be to Google Voice, honestly.
Oh, okay.
Because it would just be integrated with all the other stuff.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Any other piece of technology?
I do use, there's some others. Yeah. Like we have a proprietary website in Texas that allows us to pull date of birth, driver's license number, VIN on cars. If we have your name and address, it's associated with your driver's license.
Yeah. How much does that cost?
It costs me
chump change.
$40 a month.
That's not bad.
No. It means if you come to me through a web form, I don't have to ask you a whole bunch of personal information.
Just give me your name and number and your address.
It makes people much more at ease if we're not asking all those questions.
I like that.
Before we build a lot of rapport with them.
I like that.
And if we can't find it, we can always reach back out to you. That's out there. We do use Slack some. We use the Google Chat.
I don't understand Slack. Every time I get on Slack, I'm like, what is this? I don't understand this.
Well, so when you have people...
But I'm not that guy, you know.
So, yeah, and when you have people working remotely, it makes it easy.
Yeah, but you could just use like... well, don't get me started.
Yeah,
Please don't get me started.
There's lots
Slack.
of different things that you could use. That's one that we do use.
But you could use like Microsoft Messenger or whatever, Yeah,
sure.
Yeah,
you can use if you're on Microsoft and you want to use the Teams product, knock yourself out.
Yeah.
The best product is the one that you actually use.
Right.
Because there's different flavors of all this stuff.
Right. Is there a tech stack where you're like, that would be a very bad tech stack? Is there a piece of technology where you're like, don't do that?
One that you pay a lot of money for and don't
never use.
Yeah. That's the worst tech stack there is. Because you're lighting money on fire.
I can support that statement.
Don't light money on fire.
We're about to go to dinner, and we're about to get some cerveza in you.
Okay.
But I got one last question for you.
Okay.
What would you tell younger Ron? Well, let's start with 20-year-old Ron. What would you tell 20-year-old Ron as it relates to your career and insurance in the insurance industry? And then maybe let's talk about what would you tell Ron 9 years ago, Ron? So I guess that would be like, what, 48-year-old Ron?
Wow.
That was a joke.
That's going to cost you more cerveza.
What would you tell? So 20-year-old Ron, and then let's do 9 years ago, Ron. What would you tell those two Rons?
So 20-year-old Ron, I would tell, don't wait until you're 40 to start this path. I wish the one regret, if you will.
You wish you had gone entrepreneurship,
like almost from the
straight from the get-go. Yeah.
Because my life would be so much different now.
You did 20 years of corporate stuff, of going to the man and playing the game that the man has you play before you went?
No, I did. So I did 3 years of teaching and coaching, and then I did 14 almost years of working for the man. Yeah. And they were
they were great
awesome
years.
experiences.
I get it.
Like some of the things that I learned and experienced in those settings make me much better at what I do today.
Yeah.
But I wish I hadn't waited till I was 40.
Yeah.
That people that have it in their mind, gosh, I wish I could do something for myself.
Yeah.
Quit freaking waiting and just go.
Yeah. These podcasts are so dangerous because I have this conversation that I'm like, I gotta stop waiting and go, which I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm totally joking.
People have different things that they prefer.
Yeah.
You guys are fairly hands off with me, which is good.
Yeah. Okay. What would you tell 9 years ago, Ron? So you're now saying, honey, I can't work for the man anymore. I think I'm going to start an independent insurance, I'm going to go become an insurance agent. What would you tell 9 years ago, Ron?
To make sure and prep your wife that you really think you're going to go independent before you decide it's time to go independent.
So you're one day you're going to go independent, and you need to make sure your wife understands that that's a good jump, and that's okay.
And starting over from scratch is okay. I thought she was going to kill me in that moment.
I bet. Where she's like, I thought you chose farmers intentionally, honey. Why the heck are we walking away now? I could totally see that.
Oh, yeah.
That's actually good advice.
Yeah,
like
if you think you're going to go captive for a while
and then go independent,
actually
just start priming that pump.
Absolutely.
That's actually really good advice.
Because
oh man,
I remember that the day we were actually on vacation, the day that the farmers sale closed and funded. And we were in Boston.
Okay.
And she just kept refreshing the bank account on her phone.
Why? Just because she wanted to see the money.
She wanted to see the money.
Yeah.
And we went, had a nice dinner that night.
When she saw the money.
When she saw the money. Yeah. But there was always this, is this actually going to happen?
Not the sale, but...
well, is the sale going to go through?
Because there's a lot of drama with all
There's
that.
a lot of back and forth. And there was there's a story attached with it.
I believe it, though. There's a lot of drama tied to that.
And are you going to get, like, there's just.
Yeah, I get you.
There's a lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
And you're going back to 0 policies when you had 1.2 million in premium.
Yep.
Are you serious?
Right.
You serious, Clark?
Yeah. And she's going.
And she's
going.
She's
yeah,
told
I'm
me
serious.
now
It'll
after
be
the
fine.
fact. Yeah, after the fact, 5 years later, she's like, "It's okay.
Yeah,
you did the right thing. We're much better off."
But I'm still mad at you.
But I can't believe you put me through that twice.
So yes, prime the pump.
Prime the pump.
With hey, this captive thing's going to be short lived. I'm going to be starting over again.
If that's
in 4
what you
years.
think your intentions are, and that's honestly kind of where I was coming from, even though I didn't.
Yeah. And she said, "Why didn't you tell me this 4 years ago or X amount of years ago?" Yeah, it's good advice. Yeah. Any last thing you want to say before we shut this thing down?
I've got better hair than you.
Well, I don't know about that, but I have always wanted to bick my head. Always, my whole life, I've always wanted to take a razor to it. But my wife says I would look really, 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 really bad. I have a very small head.
I didn't have a choice, so
yeah. You don't know this, but my wife and I have this running joke that my eyes are too close together and her head is huge. So
my wife's got a big head too.
Yours does?
Yeah.
Oh, my wife's head is so big. One time I handed her like binoculars and she was looking through the binoculars.
Backwards?
No. And
but
she hands me back the binoculars and she looks at me and smiles and like pushes them all the way together.
I thought when you said
and
my wife's head is so, I thought we were going to have
it actually worked.
I thought we were going down the Mike Myers "So I Married an Axe Murderer" moment.
That's a great movie, by the way.
Yes, it is.
Hello,
Some of the
I
best
ordered a
lines ever.
large cappuccino. It's a great line.
Heed pants now.
You know what's funny? My 7-year-old, who, like when he was 6, would always be like, "It's like putting an orange on a toothpick." And then he's
It's got its own solar system.
Was I too rough with him? He'll probably cry himself to sleep on his huge pillow. My 5-year-old son would do this little bit, and I'm like, we got to stop teaching this kid this stuff.
No, it's the best stuff to teach.
Have a wonderful day, Ron.
All right.
Bye-bye. Premier Group Insurance is providing this podcast for informational uses only. This podcast should not be relied on as legal or medical advice. Reference to any specific product or entity does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation by Premier Group Insurance. The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply any endorsement to them or any entity they represent. Views and opinions expressed by Premier Group Insurance employees, i.e. Sean Michael Walker, are those of the employees and do not necessarily reflect the view of Premier Group Insurance. Copyright 2022. Premier Group Insurance, Inc., all rights reserved.